and we're live with the Hole in the Soul podcast. What?
Oh.
What, Jose?
I thought you were gonna use a new name.
No, man. I was gonna explain it. I was gonna explain the new name in my intro, and then Jose hops in with this body language that had me going, and I'm like, well, I guess now we just got to announce what's going to happen.
So
screw the intro.
I jumped the gun.
Read the room, Jose. Read the room. I mean, do we just right now tell people that instead of Hole in the Soul, that we're just changing the name of this podcast to the VUCA Fit Podcast?
VUCA Fit Podcast. We are going to change the name of this podcast from Hole in the Soul to VUCA Fit Podcast.
We voted on that right before we hit record. That's effective right now. This is actually, we'll call this the transitional episode. And today we're going to talk about transition. We're going to talk about taking signals from the marketplace. We're going to talk about a lot of these things that will help us help others. Right?
Yeah.
So let's go. Hey, happy Father's Day in
Nicaragua.
Yesterday?
It was Father's Day here in Nicaragua.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Did you get to surf or anything cool? It looked like you were working. It looked like you were putting people in ice.
No, that was on Saturday. Saturday I had a workshop.
Oh, okay, cool.
It was our corporate team. We spent the day in El Respiro. El Respiro is a center, and Respiro means breath. So it basically is a place to take a breath. And I have a whole retreat named after the place. It's called Respiro, which is the breath retreat, because it's at the place where it's called breath. Then we do breathing, we do ice, and we do. So yeah, I offer a 1 day.
That's awesome. I will tell you, your tub, the blue tub, looked like it was starting to bust out of the sides. Some of those pictures, it was starting to. Yeah. You know, your big tub that you put people in. I'm like, it looks like it's getting ready to taco in half or something.
Oh no, but it's resistant, man. It's resilient. It keeps on bouncing back. But yeah, we overdid it. We put like 20 bags of ice and some big people.
Yeah.
We had some big boys in there. But it can handle it.
Yeah.
I hope it handles it.
It can handle it.
I hope it doesn't bust during an event.
If it does, it'll just make the event more memorable, you know?
Yeah.
But you were helping create or helping give people the foundation to become VUCA Fit, to become unbreakable, which is really what this whole journey's been about.
Yeah.
You know, if I go back to when you and I met, when we crossed paths, I think it's pretty serendipitous that I'm wearing my shirt right now that says Be the Filament, and then you're wearing your shirt right now that you took off my back in Houston that says Get VUCA Trained or Get VUCA Fucked. Which are kind of totally opposite ends of the spectrum. Be the light and stay out of trouble.
Yeah.
But it's all stuff
Be the light and don't
it's
get
all
fucked.
stuff. What's that?
Be the light and don't get VUCA fucked.
Right. But I think it's first of all, it's endearing that we're wearing these today on a day that we've mutually decided to change the name of our podcast going forward. But I want to go back to like this journey of how we got to Hole in the Soul's name, and then I think why we both kind of felt like it made sense to modify that.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you mind if I share kind of how? Because I'm the one who came up with the name. Do you mind if I share what my thought process was?
Go ahead. Go.
So you and I, Jose and I, met in Houston in Q1 of this year to do a brainstorming session. And part of what came out of that brainstorming session was a specific avatar of not the type of person that we want to help, but the type of person that Jose has historically attracted to help. Let me put it that way. And we put a name on this avatar of Drew. And Drew is a second mountaineer. Drew is somebody who's kind of middle of life and who was looking for things to provide meaning and guidance for that second half of life, right? And what Jose and I identified, you know, when we had a bunch of our notes up on the wall were things that I think that Jose and myself have also tried to do and I think a lot of men do, and maybe women as well. I can't speak to that because I'm not a woman, but they will do things to try to fill that metaphorical hole in their soul, to fill a gap, and sometimes it's something that's negative. Sometimes it's just something that's void. They just haven't maybe tended to it or don't know about it. And so we thought about this concept, and it's Jose and I are both in recovery from alcoholism, for example. It's like, all right, well, alcohol was definitely something that you and I both used to try to fix or mend a hole in the soul.
Mm-hmm.
So we went up with this name, and then I started thinking about how, first of all, it's kind of a negative name. It's kind of negative. Like the terminology hole in the soul by nature means that something's missing. Okay. Secondly, it doesn't speak to everybody. I mean, some people are I think probably everybody has a little bit of a hole in their soul, but people may not identify with that because they may be like, hey, I'm going through life and life's good. Like I don't need something that's going to bring me down. I don't need something that's going to fix me. Maybe I'm not broken.
Yeah.
Right. So then when you get this brand VUCA Fit that I think can apply to everybody, including children. It's like, hey man, you want to train for life, be capable of handling more of what life offers you. That means you're VUCA Fit. And who doesn't probably want to be able to handle a little bit more of what life offers us? So anyway, that's my perspective. Anything you want to add, man?
Well, I want to go back, to the concept of safe to fail. These are, you launch a safe to fail experiment, whether it's a podcast or the name of the podcast, it's a safe to fail experiment. And what do you do with safe to fail experiments? You launch them, you execute them, you run them a bit. And if they work, you scale them. If they don't work, you change them. You stop them, or you change some of the variables. And so we're getting a sense of, hey, wait a minute, this might be limiting. This might not be working. This might not be flowing and going in the way that we want it to. What can we do? So we have a proposal here to change the name and align with another name, a new safe to fail experiment. But I'm completely, if you're not safe to fail capable, I love that term. I just made it up right now. Safe to fail capable.
Hey, write that down.
We need to write that down. Safe to fail capable. Give me 1 second. So safe to fail capable is basically that you're willing to see things not work. And there's people who are not safe to fail capable. And how does that show up? It's like they would have gotten a lot of frustration around maybe changing the name, or a lot of frustration around the changes. Changes probably affect them more than they should. Well, I've had that sense, and then you propose it, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm completely unattached, and I'm open to experimenting, opening to when you're safe to fail capable, people or incapable people might come with an idea, and they might say, I have an idea, and you might say, no, that's a stupid idea. Let's not do that. You don't know. I would say, okay, is anybody going to die? No. Is this going to hurt anybody? No. Is there a risk to it? No. Okay, well, let's try it. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Where it comes up. I had an uncle. He was a restaurateur. Restaurateur, is that?
Restaurateur. Yeah, no, that's right. You nailed it.
A restaurateur. And he had a restaurant in a corner of the city. There was in a neighborhood. He had it in the corner. And first it was called, what was it called? Jirafa Joe's, which is like Joe Giraffes, something like that. I think it was, I don't know. But it wasn't working. Then he switched the name and the concept. And I don't know what else. He went through quite a few iterations, same restaurant owner, same corner, different concepts, different names. And then he finally hit one. I thought it was the place. I thought, dude, it's probably the corner. He should just give up. But then he finally hit one.
Right.
Which was Don Parrillon, which is like Mr. Grill or something like that. It was a meat place. And it took off. And it was, it did really good for a long time. Now it's gone again. Something's changed. I think this was prior to COVID and stuff. But that really shed insight on the iterations. I'm willing to iterate. I'm willing to switch things up, not throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yep.
To,
Right.
reinvent yourself, pivot, not get attached. So I'm all about it.
Yep.
I'm all about exploring with the VUCA Fit podcast, which I think it sounds pretty cool too. It does really give us more space to experiment and do things. And
That's it.
yeah.
And that's what I was feeling. I was like, all right, so regular listeners know that Jose and I don't plan a ton. We hop on and we see what's going on in the world. We see if there's anything that comes up with either one of us, and then we determine what our topic's going to be, and then we hit record. And what I always found is that when we came to those moments, right before, when we talk about it, I'm like, okay, hole in the soul means I've got to think about something that's going to help people fix really something that's wrong. And I'm like, now with VUCA Fit, dude, we could bring up empowering guests, for example, which we've yet to have our first guest. And maybe that's the reason why. It's like, all right, well, I feel like I could invite a lot more guests with this type of name than I could with the hole in the soul, because some people just may not want to be affiliated with something that seems like it's trying to fix something that's super, super deep. But I think we can all express that we've experienced something like losing our temper in traffic, right? Or something like that. And it's like, all right, well, you just got VUCA effed. And so I'm excited about this because it does give us more latitude to be creative and share more resources with people that probably align with more people's worldviews. So there you go.
Yeah.
So with that, not a ton changes in terms of like, I don't feel like a ton changes besides the fact that we're able to probably talk about more things.
Well, that's the other part that's interesting to me, is that we've decided that we're just going to transition. So we're going to keep the same platform, the same subscriber base. We're not starting something completely new. We are just iterating it and transitioning in that way. Because one other way to have done it is stop this, start a new one. That might have been a possibility also. So I think it's a beautiful opportunity to just show people in real time some of these concepts that we're sharing with them.
Episode 15
is
where we talked about safe to fail.
Is it? How do you know it was episode 15?
Yep. I just went and looked at it.
Okay.
So if people want to learn more about safe to fail, there's a whole 45 minutes, episode 15, where we actually talk about this stuff and how. Let's try to see if there's anything else. What's important now? That might also be another one. It kind of backs up to this, right? Those are probably our two biggies that help underpin.
Well, I don't know if there's one on VUCA Fit. I don't know if there's one on VUCA that definitely, if somebody's coming up right now to this part of the podcast, we need to talk about what the hell is VUCA. Like,
we haven't even talked about it. Let's talk. Let's talk about it, because I just went. We have not talked about it. Here's why. Here's proof, guys, that a name can cause you to just throw on blinders. And so I just flipped through all of our episodes. We haven't really talked about VUCA. I'm sure we've talked about it in one of these episodes, in multiple of these episodes we've talked about it, but we haven't had an episode that talks about what VUCA is, why we have a company named it. Like, that's just not one of the things that we've really dove into. I feel like this is it.
Some of that, but I think it's worth saying that, the VUCA Fit podcast is about building our ability to manage whatever life offers us. And VUCA is the acronym coined by the U.S. military post-Cold War to describe the global context they were facing at that time. We're facing a VUCA world, which stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And so the practicality of having this term, the Buddhists use the term dukkha. Stoics meditate on adversity. The Christians also meditate on adversity, trials and tribulations, your cross. we all have this adversity that life offers us. And being VUCA Fit is being capable of managing that without breaking, being unbreakable in the face of whatever life offers us. So we have this acronym, VUCA, to describe the adversity that life offers us. And the other important part of having a name for it, if you can name it, you can tame it, is that when life is offering, the other night I forget what I was dealing with my daughter, and it was about her trip to the U.S. It's for the first time she's going to be traveling on her own. She's going to Notre Dame to a summer program. And we got news that we gave her the wrong vaccine. She needs to get vaccinated to travel.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so we get the wrong vaccine. Yeah. We're talking to the doctor. The doctor doesn't want to help us. Like, he doesn't want to. He's really like, I just vaccinated her. There's nothing we can do. Shoot.
Right. Wouldn't help.
Now we're under pressure. We have to turn something in by the Monday. It's like Saturday. We don't know what to do about it. It's a huge consequence if we don't get it done. She's not going. We're losing a ton of money and a huge opportunity. And while we're discussing this, the freaking Chihuahua is choking on something. Like, he's
literally choking. Like
you can't breathe. And I'm like, I'm talking about this. Like, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with the dog?
Give Fido the Heimlich maneuver.
What the hell is wrong with this guy? Like, he's dying right in front of us. So we were like, we were moving. There was a lot of stuff happening around.
Yeah.
So if you can name it, it's like it's coming from all directions. The issue with my daughter, the issue with the dog, the issue with the house that we're moving. I was thinking about an event that I had. It's all coming at you at once. And when it's coming at you that way, you get overwhelmed. It's hard to. And then if something else happens, you think your life is terrible or you think something's wrong. But if you have this term, no, the world is VUCA, man. The world is VUCA. There is VUCA.
Yeah.
You're not going to eliminate the volatility, the uncertainty, the complexity, and the ambiguity of the world. And it's coming at you from all directions. So by naming, we can wrap our heads around it. It's like, this is just
Amen.
Another type of VUCA. This is just another front.
Another type of VUCA.
Another front, and they're coming multiple times. I'm trained for this. I know this is normal. This is the norm. So again, it's an acronym coined by the U.S. military. There's a practicality to being able to name everything life offers us, the adversity. It helps us wrap our heads around it. Neurophysiologically, you are more stable by understanding that this is your dose of VUCA coming at you. If you don't have this name, life is chaotic. Life is overwhelming. And the basic premise is that if you train for it, you can train for it. You train for life like an athlete or a warrior. That's the basic premise of this podcast, is that you can train for life. You can build capacity, your window of tolerance, your VUCA fitness, so that you can find more stability, waste less energy.
Less suffering. Less suffering.
Bottom line, less suffering. I'm reading a very... Go ahead.
No, what's your book? I always like your recos. What do you got? You're reading what?
I don't know if you... This is called the Bhagavad...
Oh, yeah. That's
Bhagavad Gita. A friend of mine gifted it to me. It's got the written note.
Aw, those are the best books, aren't they?
But I hadn't gotten into it. I've had it for like a year, and I started reading it, man, and it's right down my alley. No wonder he gifted it to me. I mean, there's some powerful concepts there, like the infinite journey, the finiteness of life. I don't know. It's just very interesting, and your stable mentality, the stable mind that we strive for, that stable. And we'll talk about those things because now I think we can talk about some of these concepts. I don't want to talk about all of it today, and just keep it.
Yeah, we don't have to talk about it all today.
Today's
about transition. Today's about change. Today's about safe to fail. Today's about about one of your core principles that you've instilled in me and other people that you've helped, that you've guided. It really is. And it's kind of, I actually think it's really cool that we get to play this out. We get to eat our own dog food, as we like to say.
Oh yeah.
We get to hunt. We get to eat what we kill. So, we'll talk about these things, concepts and things on here, but this is one that's playing out real world, guys. So you can see it. It's like, all right, if something feels like you're putting signal and you're putting noise out there and you're not getting a lot of signal back, which we've gotten signal back, don't get me wrong. Just like, could we tune it a little bit? And it's way easier to tune it now than when we're 1,000 episodes in, right? It's way easier in the first couple when our listenership's pretty low to be like, hey, and by the way, it's not low. I don't know if you saw the celebratory graphics that our show producer created that I then shared, but we've had like 21,000 views or something, like listens or whatever. I don't know what it was. It didn't even matter to me. It was YouTube. Yeah. And I was like, hey, that's really cool. Yeah, we're doing good on YouTube Shorts. We get a lot of comments on there. Most of the people think we're crazy. That's fine. I don't care, but we appreciate the comments. What were you guys say?
Well, we were talking about corn and genetics. Of course, we were going to get it wrong.
We talk about a lot of stuff that we're not experts in, and we know we're going to be experts. We just two dudes talking.
But, again, the other safe to fail, complexity capable element here that we can point towards is that we're doing well on a platform that we didn't plan for, that we didn't think, we weren't shooting for YouTube. We weren't shooting we want to do amazing in YouTube. Let's focus on YouTube. We just you're literally just been putting it down there, like dumping it in there. Jessica's been supporting us in an amazing way and making sure it's on there. I haven't been paying attention to it.
I know.
And it's the platform that's doing healthiest for us. So that's another revealing element.
Here's a bigger one. I'm just going to go way back. So I have a friend who mentored me in podcasting back when I had my previous show in the franchise space. And it was kind of funny. One of the things that he told me, he's like, don't overinvest in YouTube. And I'm like, okay, mentally just wrote that down in my I did a one pager. And I'm like, well, we haven't overinvested in any certain channel. We invest in all the channels the same way. I mean, we have TikTok. We got all these different channels, right? But to me, I'm like, okay, now if I would have listened to the expert and his experience, then maybe I wouldn't have even done YouTube Shorts. And here, that's where we've been able to, frankly, get the most lift out of this show. So yeah, I mean, safe to fail experiments sometimes can also serve the purpose of proving something to yourself, even in the face of experts' advice, So to me, that was even more telling. I'm like, well, I'm glad we didn't listen all the way to Matt because, we'd be missing out on helping more people see what we're able to offer them.
I think we were on TikTok. We're on TikTok. We have a TikTok.
We're on TikTok. Yeah, it's actually hilarious because I'm never the one who's actually posting to TikTok. Guys, I know this is crazy to say this out loud, but we're not the ones who are sometimes posting. So we have 58 people that are following us on TikTok, and we've got 909 likes. And recently, we just hit some threshold where I was able to start actually sending people to our website and stuff like that. So we're growing. It's really cool, man. Pretty happy about it. It's actually really, really cool.
It does come down to our Adam McChesney game plan, which is consistency.
Yeah, it's consistent.
Chipping away until you get it right.
You understand why that's exactly right. That's why I wouldn't let you skip an episode this week or anything. Because I know from my last show, I did 2 a week, and there was a tipping point. The tipping point happened at 100 subscribers. Then things started to go organic. And I'm like, all right, I want to get us to 100 subscribers as soon as possible because I've seen that consistency pay off. I've just flat out seen it pay off. So yeah, man, there's something to be said there. I'm going to be at Builders of Authority this week. We'll give a quick shout out to a friend of ours, Adam McChesney. If you don't follow him on Insta or social or anywhere, do so. He's got his second Builders of Authority event in St. Louis taking place on Wednesday. I'm going to be going. Jose planned on going. He's not going to be able to make it. I'm going to be there learning about brand and all of those things. And I feel really good about this decision. If for nothing else, Jose, then it's one less brand you and I have in our heads. It's just one less brand to got to think about. Like, all right, we're just VUCA Fit and DeFactory. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Yep, there we go.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I have on this topic. I think I don't know. Do you have anything else you want to share? I don't want to be the dead horse or go too deep into it.
No, just welcome to the VUCA Fit podcast, where you're going to be learning how to treat life to build your capacity. And we're going to be bringing different people on mindset and physiology and psychology and tools and techniques and perspectives. I already wrote down a couple of notes on episodes. The biohacking perspective is a beautiful thing to talk about. There's, mental stability and mindfulness. Yeah, there's a lot we can talk about here, my friend.
I think we can get Huberman and Rich Roll on a show with this name. I think we can get Rich Roll and Huberman on this show at some point. Those are goals. We have big goals. We want to get some of the best podcasters as guests on our show. And I think that we're more positioned to we're in a better position. Actually, Rich Roll, probably Hole in the Soul, would have resonated with him more since he's recovering alcoholic and really big into recovery. But I feel like this is a really good move. So I'm glad that partners could talk through this before the show and then just go and share it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a true blessing, my friend. Don't you think?
Yeah. It is. Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah. There you go. All right, friends.
Podcast now.
We're the VUCA Fit Podcast. I'm Kevin. He's Jose. We appreciate you. We'd like to hear what you think about our new name. Drop comments anywhere. We appreciate you. Until next week, be well.